we going in or what?
Yeah, let's just dive right in.
Hey!
As I say every video, let's just dive right in. All right, let's just dive in.
All right, I'll go ahead and start. All right, so... All right, hold on. That was too loud. Okay. All right, so we have a conclusion about Rey, or at least I do, and I think you agree with me. Okay.
Yeah. It's both of us. It's a general consensus.
General consensus. We've discussed it, and we're now bringing it to the public. I'm just gonna say it. Rey is a clone, and that's it. And thank you for watching, and be sure to tune into our next video. No. Yeah, Rey is a clone.
A clone of who?
Okay, she's a clone of basically Luke Skywalker, but there's someone else added in there. And the reason she's a clone of Luke Skywalker is because the whole lightsaber was found by Maz Katana. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be a connection to that. You know, the hand was attached to the lightsaber when it got cut off and when they found it. And somebody might say, that's ridiculous that someone cloned somebody from a hand. But it's kind of ridiculous that they found the lightsaber floating in space.
Right, which had flown out of Cloud City to who knows where. Right.
So since that's already established and that's kind of ridiculous, this is not too far-fetched to add on to that.
Right.
So Luke Skywalker's DNA was used to clone Rey, but some people might say, "Oh, wait a minute, it's a girl. Luke Skywalker's not a girl. That's not a clone." But here's the thing: they used Leia's DNA too. So they mixed Leia and Luke's DNA to make Rey. Go ahead.
Okay. Does Leia know she's going to be cloned, or is it one of those things like Luke's hand? Luke didn't know, obviously, because his hand was not a part of him.
Okay, let's see. Leia willingly helped out because they couldn't complete the DNA code from just the hand for some reason. Like maybe it was the DNA was corrupted or deteriorated or something. And Luke would not agree to this, even though he heard that they were. Well, he was approached, by somebody to continue, I don't know. Let's figure why would they approach Luke to do this?
Okay.
Why would they want to clone?
All right, so I have my own theory along with what you've stated, and over the course of a day I've kind of put some idea into it or some thought into it. And let me just start off by saying the reason that you're thinking with the hand is because, and I'm sure a lot of fans know this, is because in the original draft, Force Awakens was going to open with Luke Skywalker's hand floating through space with the lightsaber. And I think it was going to crash land on a planet. I'm not sure. They didn't end up using it. But the idea that they would still focus on the hand of Skywalker like that, and they're focusing on his old lightsaber. So, they're focused on a bunch of different things like that. So, anyway, with the hand theory, now whether it was the hand theory or whatever, we'll call it the hand theory. So, the general idea that I had was that, okay, she's a clone. They got it from Luke, unbeknown to Luke. Maybe he figured it out. This was the Republic, the new Republic that was doing this. And I want to say that they didn't do it until Ben Solo killed all the Jedi at Luke's Jedi Academy. Because why would the New Republic have a contingency plan when Luke was training all these Jedi? I mean, so to speak. I'm not sure how many students he had or anything like that. But if Luke was, had enough people to open up a school, so the Force was in good hands at that point. But if Ben Solo turned evil, went to the dark side, fell to the dark side, killed all the Jedis along with the Knights of Ren, maybe that right there was the sparking for the Republic to be like, look, there are no more Jedi left. We got to do something, Skywalker. And so then Leia's sitting there and she's like, well, what if we delve into cloning? It's not Leia's idea, but the New Republic's ideas for cloning. And Leia's on board with it. Han's caught in the middle. Han doesn't, feel either way about it. But Luke doesn't agree with it for some reason.
Well, because he's seen cloning go bad.
Right, exactly, with the Empire and stuff like that. So what if that happens and that's almost Luke's other reason for running away. It's not about his one bad apple. You know what I mean? That's not the reason he would run, I don't think. I think it would have to do where he didn't agree with the Republic, because honestly, Star Wars is not staying all good, all bad anymore. It's a lot of gray areas now when it comes to Star Wars. So maybe that's what it's going to be in the future, is that Luke doesn't, like what the good guys did, the Republic, or, the Republic, I won't say the good guys if I'm talking about gray areas. Right. And he's not going to support the dark side, which is the First Order. So he's almost in this in-between. Because, remember, Luke, or Yoda and Obi-Wan didn't have ties to the Republic to begin with, right? And but, like, before the prequels and A New Hope, they were just Jedis. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they were like, go fight with the rebellion. We're behind the rebellion. It was just its own thing.
See, I never know. I know what you're saying. I don't know, though. I'd have to study that more to...
Right. So before the prequels, I'm talking about original trilogy, I don't think they delved much into the Jedi talking about rebellion, and they just didn't like the Empire. So maybe it'll focus with that. But anyway, so Luke doesn't agree with the cloning, right? So then, but Leia agrees with it. So they use Leia's DNA majority being that Rey is a female. So I would think that they would use her DNA, more so than Luke's, because obviously Luke didn't want to do it. But they find Luke's hand somewhere, or it's been held by some Maz Katana type character, and she gave it to the Republic to use. So then there's the Force side of it, and I'm sure Leia has the Force too. At least in the books, she did a little bit. But now what they do in this continuation and this canon of Star Wars, I'm not sure. But anyway, so that's where Rey comes from. And then another point that I wanted to bring up, past that, is that what if Rey has an accelerated aging, like all the other clones had in Attack of the Clones? Because I mean, the only person who didn't have it was Boba Fett. And if you remember, they were saying that all the other clones besides one, Jango's son, didn't have accelerated aging. So what if they did that to Rey? What if she wasn't dropped off that long ago on Jakku? You know what I mean?
Like, how long would it have been? How long would her memories... How long could it have been since she was that young in cloning years?
And then it's like...
How long?
It's like like you're asking me how long do I think?
I'm asking, like, in clone years, how much time could have passed since she was a little girl? How fast do they age, basically?
Precise number? I have no idea. I'm sure someone out there does, and if they know, please leave a comment. But, I mean... Maybe
it could have been, like, 3 years ago that her memories are from?
That's honestly what I was thinking. I was thinking 2 or 3 years ago, because honestly, I'm not sure how long Luke has been in hiding. Anything like that. But what if she had the accelerated aging process, and then like all those memories that she has blocked, and she can't remember what her parents looked like when they dropped her off. She just remembered being a girl, crying, Unkar Plot, and Jakku, and it's like no normal child would have that blocked out unless it was AKA deleted out of them, meaning through science, like clones, where their memories are tampered with or something, or their ideas are, or the Force. And I think more people are like, well, it's the Force guarding her, someone put a block on her mind. But it's like, well, what if we think about it in the other way, where if it's a clone, she can be programmed. She was programmed from the beginning. I'm not saying, I mean, this is all speculation, all ideas.
So
possible spoilers.
So as far as who actually is pushing for the clones, it almost could be that the dark side is really masking themselves as the good side again? To start cloning.
I mean, that's the prequels. That's the entire plot of the prequel.
But that's what I mean. Only the bad side wants clones. That's kind of the undertone of what a clone who seeks out that cloning process is usually for nefarious reasons. Is that how you say nefarious? Nefarious reasons. So it's like, to me, I wouldn't be shocked if Maz Katana comes on screen and actually is a double agent, or like an evil person at the end of it.
I hope not, because they play her off as being so, like she...
Like Yoda.
Right, but it's also... She could see the traitor in Finn, remember she was like those eyes. She was like all the eyes are the same.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, honestly, I don't think she would be a traitor only because she kind of called Finn out for being a traitor a little bit or being for the bad guy. So I don't know about that. But
the reason I say it,
she's for
Go
it.
ahead, or you finish?
Because of money, I think.
Yeah.
The
reason I say she's probably evil is because they've done so many things that were similar to to previous episodes, that I feel like they're doing a curveball to where, like, okay, she's like Yoda for this new trilogy, but it's like we've not seen an evil Yoda, so she's going to cross us up. She's going to come across as like motherly and sage or whatever you call it. But then she's going to cross us up. She's going to cross us up and be evil in the next episode, and she actually was part of this whole cloning thing. But either way, she has been approached.
Well, she's
to get
not
that
humble.
hand.
Because of the big old statue of her holding in her bar. It's like that's not a very humble person.
Oh yeah, and another thing is that bar's full of, that cantina's full of people who are like,
they were spies for both sides, rebellion and Imperial.
It's like there's no honor among thieves, and that's just a bar of thieves and an outpost for the crazy bounty hunters and stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I never thought about it like that, but yeah.
If it's the same as the other cantina, it's the same thing.
Well, yeah,
but
I mean, it had First Order spy in there who was, and then at the same time, a Rebel spy was saying, "Hey, they're here." You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a gray area, but good Lord, what's to say she can't be bad if they made her that important? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, okay, so either way, I'm not really. Maz Katana, either way, I don't really care. But I'm just thinking if they're going to throw a twist in, she might turn out to be evil. And so let's think. So when Leia decided to help, see, Luke, if we're going with Luke, not only left because of his pupil turning bad, he left because he knew they were approaching him about, possibly making clones of Jedis, only because they knew that the clones would develop faster and be a force to protect them quicker, because they understood that the Empire had already delved into cloning, so they almost had to fight fire with fire, and they were like, well, their troops are coming out with training already deeply imprinted in them, so the clones of they knew how to work guns and stuff quicker than if you train somebody from the ground up, right? I mean, they knew how to work all the equipment, so they're like, well, let's do the same thing with Jedis, because they'll come out, ready to be trained and pick up really quickly with it.
Yeah, now
let's see.
Now with Jedis, I mean, they couldn't implement the Force into them, so I guess that's where it's like, so does every clone that they would have made using Luke's DNA, would they have all been as strong with the Force as Rey,
But if you're going with the metachlorians thing, then the cloning works with that, because you're.
I forgot.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying, you got to pick one or the other, and if they're going to stick with it, then cloning somebody with the metachlorians, it actually transfers.
Oh man,
I'm not saying any of these is good ideas. I'm just saying I think I might have cracked the code of what they did here. I'm thinking.
Well,
all right. So real quick, we need to.
Well, we've talked about it because it's like. I mean, this is the only route they could go to keep my attention, or else it's not going to make sense.
Right. So real quick, let's make sure that we defined it well. So Luke is not in, Luke knows that they're wanting to do it. He says no.
He said no to it. Then they found his hand through Maz Katana smugglers. They didn't tell him what it was for, but they bought it or something. It's a
So
it's some black market galactic trade or something. Yeah. You don't really have to flesh that out really, because the concept of the lightsaber is still around. It's like, well, it's possible.
And then Leia, they said, Leia, this is for the good of the Republic.
Yeah.
So please do this. And she said, well, against, my brother's wishes, I think this is the best thing to do. So she took part in it. They cloned Rey. They had her,
right. And see,
on that planet for some reason, but she was really under surveillance. Or something. I don't think she. Yeah, she wasn't just. See, that's what makes me think that this program is really the Empire's or the Resistance. Oh, I'm sorry. The New Order's program.
First Order.
The First Order's program, which is basically the Empire, because. I mean, who would make a test subject and stick it out on a desert planet other than someone trying to hide something? So it really, underneath everything, I do think it's the Empire who was pushing for this, and I think Snoke has something to do with it. I think he devised this master plan to get it to seem as if the Republic, which is the Resistance, wanted to make these clones, but really he wants them because he wants to do something, and it all leads back to that bringing Darth Vader back stuff, or bringing you know, something back.
And more evidence behind the idea of her being a clone is, you saw how Han Solo was looking at her, and everyone was looking at her. Like, no one seemed to acknowledge Rey as they hadn't met her, or they hadn't something. Like, in the back of their mind, they know she's not supposed to be there or something. You know what I mean?
They looked at her weird, like she was an alien, not like she was a niece or a daughter or anything.
Yeah, so it's not in the sense that, like, oh yeah, well, that's their daughter, that's their niece, or we know her because of this. It's like, it's got to be like they know, she's not supposed to be around because it wasn't a good idea to clone Jedi or something. So maybe it's something like that. Like they're all keeping the secret. Like, oh no, she got off of Jakku. We didn't think she'd get off of Jakku. We paid that guy to just keep her on that plane, or something. Like it's this whole. I mean, it's got to be a conspiracy theory around her and her in general, because that's got to be the huge twist. I guess
the huge twist is when they reveal.
It's instead of "I'm your father," it's "I created you." And then it ends on, you know what I mean, or something like that. Like, and
you're a clone. And I wonder if she knows. She doesn't know she's a clone. Yeah, that's the reveal. Is that you're a clone?
Yeah, I don't think she's a clone. And another thing.
Wait. You don't think she's a clone?
No, I don't think she thinks she's a clone.
Yeah, okay. About to say.
No, wait.
We're not on the same page here. Wait.
Okay, so to dive into something else, you were wondering do you think Finn's a clone too? Like, but
okay. Hold that thought 1 second, because I got a few supporting details to go with what you just said. So we'll come back to Finn being a clone. Real quick, one other thing is we've never seen anybody touch a lightsaber and get those feelings or memories
visions
that she had. But see, that could be something. That could be the whole process of a clone relearning what they knew at one point, and we've never seen that because we've never needed to. We've never seen stormtroopers touch a gun or shoot, and then regain what they once knew, and that's the whole point of cloning, is because the process of learning is quicker and growing and having more of an, you know what I mean, building your army. But so really those visions could have just been part where we get to see how a clone actually, what is the word, learns faster or regains what they knew at one point or something. Is that, am I saying that right?
I mean, they trained the clone troopers through like simulations and stuff. It's not like they handed them a gun and they all went, oh, well, we all know how to fire it now.
Well, no, they don't know how to fire it, but it's like okay, well, with a theory I do not like, the clones were from Boba Fett? Django. So they took a warrior's DNA and said, let's make more. So they were predispositioned to be good at what they're going to do. And I just assume, you just say that they pick up things faster. I mean, I would think, wouldn't you? They grow faster, they pick up things faster. I don't know. I could be wrong, but that gets into the science part of it. But I still think that's the reason why Rey learned everything so quick, is because she's a clone of a Jedi, and it's almost like, what do you call it when you lived before and you die and you come back and
reincarnation?
Reincarnation. It's like reincarnation. You come back and you pick up things quicker because you're already familiar with it.
Yeah, and I mean she saw everything that Luke experienced, I'm pretty sure, which was the saber fight between Vader. Well, actually, they didn't even use that scene, I don't think. They were going to show Luke versus Vader on Cloud City, but they never showed that. But it was Obi-Wan Kenobi. We heard him. We heard Vader.
Yeah, we heard things that Luke had heard, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, well, there's more evidence right there. It's like, that's everything Luke had been around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
did Vader's we hear Yoda breathing. Too?
I think so. Well,
yeah.
I don't remember anymore because it's.
Oh, okay. I don't remember either.
Yeah, that like I remember Obi-Wan, Vader's breathing, a lightsaber at some point, Kylo Ren, and so in my mind I'm like, well, that's everything Luke saw, because he did see Kylo Ren turn to the dark side. He knew his father. He met Obi-Wan, older Obi-Wan. So at that point, it's kind of like. The clone thing is the only thing that makes sense. It's the only thing that's going to keep my attention for 2 more movies, I think.
Yeah, because if it's not this clone thing, if this isn't the solution that ties everything together, then we have some terrible writing going on, and I don't think anything's going to solve it. This is the only puzzle piece I can see solving all these weird things that the fans are mad about, like Rey picking up the Force too quick, Rey flying the Millennium Falcon without any training. See, Luke helped fly the Falcon at times, and so did Leia, I'm assuming, through the different movies, right? She kind of helped. I don't know.
She sat in the cockpit, but I don't think she actually flew it.
Well, you know what I mean. They're gonna, I don't know, but and then the Force visions, clone inspire, or that's the reasoning is because it was a clone re-upping all of her abilities, and then the way they were looking at her like an alien, and I just don't believe that Luke Skywalker would ever abandon his kid on Jakku.
None of them would. Han and Leia wouldn't abandon a kid. I mean, now with the whole Ben Solo thing and him turning the dark side, they wanted him to come back.
Yeah, that's different. He grew up with them, though.
Right, exactly. So
they wouldn't let Luke abandon his own daughter, their niece. They wouldn't abandon their own children. So I just don't believe it's any of their children. Or she's not any of their actual child or niece. She's
a byproduct of them, almost like like we said, through cloning. And you know, at one point I was thinking like, oh well, what if she's the perfect cell that is Dragon Ball Z in the Star Wars universe? Which is like she has the DNA of all the major players, you know what I mean? But then I thought they couldn't even do that. I wouldn't even appreciate. I wouldn't even believe that in Star Wars. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't work in Star Wars like it did in Dragon Ball Z. But that helped spur this theory. I think was the idea of remembering that. But yeah.
And another thing, the reason that this isn't we're saying that this is the only thing that would actually work as an explanation for all these loose ends is because cloning is something that is a staple to the Star Wars series. So that's not a bad thing to revisit that and reuse it in a new plot line.
Yeah. I mean, they've already revisited A New Hope, so it's like, well, you don't have to go, okay, well, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. It's not like that, but it's... I mean, Star Wars has a huge frame, like a huge framework, but you're still in the confines of it. You know what I mean? Like you can't go and make something brand new, even though they do. Don't get me wrong with alien species. The alien species is one thing as opposed to scientific progressions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, and when Luke looks at Rey at the end. It's not like you're my daughter and I got so much to tell you. It's like,